everyone, so I finally got my computer back, and so I figured I would sit down and make a couple of videos while I had a chance. It is 9, I don't know, maybe 9:15, close enough, 9:10 in the morning, and Noah is still sleeping, which is beautiful. And little Miss Sissy, she's sleeping too, although she's squirming over there, so I'm not sure how long she's going to stay asleep. I think my talking may be waking her up. We'll see. Hopefully she'll sleep long enough for me to do this. So anyways, I figured I would talk about the delivery of Courtney. So anyways, on the 31st of August, I went in to my maternal fetal medicine doctor's office for my amniocentesis. The amnio was scheduled for 7:30. They told us to arrive 15 minutes early, so we got there at 7:15. Signed in, and I was sitting in the waiting room, and Ryan and I were just waiting and waiting and waiting, and the time just kept ticking by. 7:30 came, 7:30 went, 7:45 came, 7:45 went, 8 o'clock got there, 8 o'clock went by. It was 10 minutes after 8 before they even came and got us. And this whole time I'm on, the edge of my seat saying, oh, they're not going to get it done in time. Because they needed 4 hours for the test results to come back to say whether or not the baby's lungs were going to be mature or not, and whether or not we were going to be able to have the C-section. Well, my C-section was scheduled for 1:30, but I had to be at the hospital at 10 for my pre-op. And I was thinking they're never going to get it done in time, because my doctor told me, he said, don't check into the hospital unless you know we're going to have the C-section. He said, because I would hate for you to get in there, get checked into pre-op, get your IVs, just to be told that you can't have it done because her lungs aren't mature. So I'm having a fit because I'm not thinking that we're going to get the results back in time for me to check into the hospital. So anyhow, they came down and they wheeled me over to the hospital, because that's where they do the, they do the amnios at the maternal fetal medicine doctor, because I've had them done there before. But when they're going to do them when you're that far along in your pregnancy, they do them at the hospital, because they like to monitor you on the monitors to make sure you're not going to go into labor, or make sure your water doesn't break, and all that other good jazz. So anyways, they wheeled me over to the hospital, and took me down to the room where they do the amniocentesis at, and I was so nervous. I was sweating. I was such a sweaty mess, because I hate amnios. They are so painful. I had 2 when I was pregnant with Carly, 1 with Noah, and then this one. So this is my 4th amnio. So it wasn't my first rodeo, but they never get any easier. So anyways, I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and finally the doctor comes in and gets ready to do the amnio. They actually went into my stomach really close to my navel, which I was not a huge fan of. But I don't think they've ever went that close to my navel before. But anyways, it was very painful. I squeezed the holy living crap out of my husband's hand while they were doing it. It's really kind of hard to explain what the pain feels like, but it is an intense pressure and cramp. And plus it just makes me nervous, because, you're putting a needle near my baby, and my water could break, and what if her lungs aren't mature, and then I do go into labor anyways, and it was just a bunch of emotions mixed with pain, and I don't think the emotional part helped the pain part. So anyways, they did that. I sat around, and they're hooked up to the monitors for 20 or 30 minutes, and I was having some pretty strong contractions after that, pretty painful contractions, and then they started to subside, and it was just more of an irritable uterus type thing. But on the ultrasound that they did prior to the section, or before they did the amnio, just to kind of check the placement of the baby, the ultrasound tech said, oh, I hope you brought your hairbrush. a hairbrush for your baby, he said, because this girl has a lot of hair. And I was like, oh no. And that was one thing that I had actually forgot to pack in our bag, was a hairbrush for the baby. So I told my husband, I was like, well, maybe we can go get one before we have to have my section, because we had plenty of time before we had to be back at the hospital to, you know, get checked in for the C-section. So they let me go because I wasn't having any contractions and there was no signs of me actually going into labor. My husband would not let me walk back to the car. Well, for one, I was still kind of in a little bit of pain from the amnio, but he was like, no, you're not walking. So he put me in the wheelchair and wheeled me literally through the hospital, through all these, I mean, it was a long, long walk back to the car anyways, but he wheeled me all the way back to the car, took the wheelchair right through the parking deck. But and then we went over to Target, where it's only like a short drive, like maybe 5 minutes away from the hospital. So we go to Target and we pick up a baby brush while we wait to get checked in to delivery. And again, my husband would not let me walk, so he grabbed a wheelchair from inside Target and wheeled me around. I kind of was a little embarrassed, but you know, whatever. It made my husband feel better to push me around. So anyways, we get back to the hospital and I get a phone call. It was about 10 minutes to 10, and it was my OB letting me know that the results came back and her lungs were mature. So I was really surprised that we got the results back that soon, because I think the actual amnio was done at 9 o'clock. So I mean, it was really, really fast. But they said her lungs were perfectly mature and that she was ready to go. And so that's it. We went to labor and delivery to get checked in. I got up there, they put my IVs in, they did a lot of paperwork, they, yeah, I think that was it. Paperwork, IVs, just the normal stuff. And then it was just kind of a waiting game. We were waiting for the anesthesiologist to come talk to me, and then we were waiting for my doctor to come talk to me. Well, my doctor was not actually working in the hospital that day. He was actually working in the office, and he just scheduled a special time for me to come do the C-section, which is usually not something that they do, but he wanted to be the one doing my C-section, so he actually scheduled a little time out of the office and into the hospital just to do that. So he actually didn't come and talk to me while we were waiting. So another doctor came that I had seen before, and he said that he had to just come in and speak to me for a minute and see me. He said, because a doctor has to see you before you're allowed to go off into the OR. So he came by to check on me and just say, hey, you know, ask if I had any questions. And I didn't. And then about, I don't know, 10 minutes later, my doctor showed up. And so I walked out into the hallway out of the labor and delivery room, and my doctor walked me to the OR. He kind of went his way. Once we got to the door, he went to go wash up, and then I went in. So while I was in there, they did the epidural, and, or actually, I think they were waiting on the anesthesiologist to come in, because we waited a really, really long time. They paged him like, I don't know, 6, 7 times, and he kept saying, I'm almost there, and he was never there. So finally he came, and first of all, let me say that my epidural with Carly was a breeze. My epidural with Hannah was a breeze. My epidural with Noah, it hurt. And I think I was kind of really nervous about that epidural because the anesthesiologist I had was a complete jerk and was just, you know, hateful and arrogant, and just, it was a horrible, horrible experience. And I refused to ever have him do another epidural on me. So if he was going to be my anesthesiologist this time, I was going to say absolutely not. You're going to have to find somebody else. But thankfully it wasn't him. It was another guy, and he was really nice. But this epidural was horrible. Horrible, horrible. It was the, well, it's not an epidural, it's a spinal block, but same thing, basically, just different medicine. But let me tell you, I have never in my life felt so much pain from the spinal block. And the guy said, it's going to feel like a little bee sting, and you know, it'll numb the skin area, and then you'll just feel pressure, and then it'll be over with. Well, you know, I've heard that before because I've went through it 3 times prior to that. So I did. I felt a little bee sting. That's normal. And then the next thing I know, as he's sticking the, I guess the catheter into my back, oh, I think she's gonna wake up. I felt it felt like an electrical shock through my left leg. Like if you were to put your left leg in water and then drop a hair dryer in the water and just shock the crap out of your leg. Not that I've ever done that, but I'm just saying, like if I had to imagine what it would feel like that was the type of pain, and it caused my leg to kick straight out. I kicked the nurse anesthetist in front of me, and it hurt so bad. And I was like, oh my God, that hurt, that hurt, that hurt. And they were telling me to relax and calm down. And at this point, I was kind of freaking out. And then I started having a lot of pain in my lower back. Let me get baby girl. Okay, sorry about that. So then I started feeling a lot of pain in my lower back towards the left side. And so that started worrying me because, you know, anything can happen with an epidural. You can be paralyzed and lose sensations. And, oh, I was a basket case at that point. And so, anyhow, they finally got it in and got it working and got me laid down on the table, strapped my arms down. They went ahead and started proceeding with the section. My husband came in. Then I started to feel extremely nauseated. I thought I was going to throw up. And I kept saying, I think I'm going to throw up. I think I'm going to throw up. And it made me turn my head to one side and put a basin by my face. I didn't throw up, but I definitely felt like I was going to. And they said it was because my blood pressure was dropping really low. So they gave me some medicine to help bring it up as much as they could and make me feel better. Apparently the medication from the spinal block drops your blood pressure. So anyways, they got me feeling better, but I was feeling really lightheaded and really dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out. And they brought the anesthesiologist back in and were making me squeeze their hands. I guess they were trying, I don't know what they were checking for, but he was like, squeeze my hand on this side. And so I was doing it, and I guess everything was okay. But, and I was feeling a lot of pain, which I think might have been why I was feeling a little lightheaded and dizzy, because I was feeling a lot of, it wasn't just pressure pain, it was like sharp pains in my stomach area. And I felt that with Hannah and with Noah too. And they gave me gas with Hannah and with Noah, but the gas made me so foggy. I felt like I was floating on clouds, and it was a horrible experience to be on the gas. The gas made me feel better, but not being able to really recall a lot of things that happened was really frustrating. So this time I refused to get gas. I was just going to kind of, you know, march my way through it without it. And so thankfully they didn't give me any gas, and I didn't even ask for any. Actually, I don't think I asked for it with Carly or with Hannah or Noah either, but they gave it to me because I was hyperventilating. But anyways, so I didn't get the gas this time, thankfully, but my doctor said that the pain that I was feeling was most likely because I had a lot of scar tissue they were having to get through. Which makes sense that I didn't feel that pain with Carly because I had no scar tissue, and then that I felt the pain with Hannah, Noah, and Courtney. So anyways, shortly after they got into the section, it didn't take very long, my doctor said, look up here at your baby girl. So they lifted her up, and I was so shocked that she looked just like Noah when he was born. So that was kind of neat. And hearing her cry was just the most beautiful sound ever, because Carly never cried. Obviously Hannah didn't cry. Noah just had a few whimpers because he had respiratory distress syndrome, and he just, you know, didn't have the lung capacity to cry. So Courtney was the only one that I ever really heard cry in the operating room, and it was beautiful. I just loved it. I sat there and cried listening to her cry, but my husband went over and looked at her and watched him kind of clean her up and suck out her nose and mouth and whatnot. And then he brought her over and sat with me while they tied my tubes and stitched me up and got me ready to go. Then he walked out and walked to recovery with the baby, and he sat in there and waited on me, and it took me about 5 minutes after he walked out to get there. And so then we were in recovery for close to 2 hours, and the baby was brought, Ryan had the baby, so we kept her in recovery with us for I don't know, about an hour and a half, and then they came and took her. And when they took her, or no, we had her for about an hour, and then they took her. And when they took her to the nursery, they went to clean her up and give her, no, they didn't give her a bath at that point. So I don't know exactly what they did in there, but I think they were probably like getting measurements and all that other stuff. So anyways, I got back to the room, they brought her back to me, and so yeah, that was about it as far as how the delivery went. It was okay. It wasn't anything, you know, I guess it was special because she was born, but I mean, there was nothing really much to talk about, seeing as how I didn't go into labor and all that other good jazz. I'll do another video. Somebody asked me to do a video on my C-section recovery, so I'll do a video on that. And then I'll do a video on just kind of Courtney and, you know, how she's been and her hospital stay up until now. So it'll just kind of be like her birth / 1 month update. I feel like I'm falling down on my seat a little further. But anyway, so I'll do that video. I'm going to try to get maybe a couple up today if I have the chance. I'm not sure. Noah's still in bed, so it will, hopefully he'll stay a little bit longer. If he does, I can get maybe one more video done. So, anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.